Okay, Friday, 8th of August 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. I'm not into finance, money, or tech, but all those things are into you. So, I was watching a podcast recently, and there was an interesting little steelman argument that someone in the Bitcoin space made about people who are not involved in the space at all. And he said that they said, in general, that they're not into economics and finance and money and tech, but the commenter said actually, as a matter of fact, they just don't realize it. And the meta signal there to say is that you are in everything, whether you realize it or not. I'm not interested in psychology, but actually you are. You've got a mind, and everyone you deal with has got a mind as well. So by default, by definition, as a working definition, you are into psychology. It's into you, whether you're into it or not. Oh, I'm not interested in economics. Well, I know nothing about economics. Economics. Well, you go into a supermarket, all around you is economics. I'm not into logistics. The supermarket is basically nothing but logistics. Mm. So that goes at a grand, big picture level to say everything's connected. You could say that mining policies in Vietnam, in some indirect way, affect housing policy in Ireland, other side of the world. Everything has a knock-on effect. It's one of those questions of squinting hard enough to find the pattern, find the knock-on effect, that pattern in so far as 6 degrees of separation. It affects over here, affects over there, affects over this and this and that and that and this. And this kind of embodies that idea that there's too many variables in life. There's too many variables over here and over there to predict the future. Because in the world we live in, it's interconnected, global, soon to be hyper Bitcoinized world, everything truly is connected at a visceral, technical, detailed, mechanical, economic, financial level. Paper policy, paper pulping policies in East Timor will affect leather production in, I don't know, in Germany, in North Saxony, Germany, for example. I'm just picking a name location, yeah, in some way, and then bring it down to earth. You might not be into Bitcoin or finance or technology, but every transaction you do is by definition in finance, in technology, in fintech, in some fashion. So you're into it whether you realize it or not. You may not be interested in learning about electricity, as you're not an electrician, but you use electricity all the time. You may not be interested in psychology, but you live the consequences of it by dealing with yourself and people. So it's these things we have to understand because we deal with them on a day-to-day basis. You may not be interested in money. You may not be interested in money as a subject matter of education, but it affects your whole life. I heard this great quote once years ago about economics. Economics is major, as in important. So therefore, major, focus on the study of economics. Yes. The signal here, you could say, is to study Bitcoin fundamentally because it affects every single transaction in the world. Every transaction is the buyer and seller, but there's the money involved itself. And if that is flawed, the first principles and fundamentals of it is flawed, and there's something that's a 0 to 1 technology better, something 10x better already out there, then that affects every single person if the money they're using is flawed. Wow. But that's a real meta, deep way of looking at it. That's why you can go and say that the TAM, the total addressable market of Bitcoin, is in the hundreds of trillions. Wow. That's just a question of education and infrastructure and awareness. The desire to stay ignorant should not be an excuse to ignore Bitcoin. The desire for not being interested in economics or finance or technology, I'm not interested in that stuff, should not be an excuse to ignore Bitcoin, because these things all affect you. Again, I'm not into electricity. I'm not an electrician. Why should I bother to learn and understand the first principles of electricity? Oh, it just powers my entire life. So my level of exposure is infinitesimally dependent on electricity. Everything I do is dependent on it. Wow, that's powerful. Economics and other stuff is majorly important, so major in it. Bitcoin is majorly important, so study it. It affects everything else in life. And then you can go deeper to say, well, study everything. Study psychology, anthropology, sociology, history, economics, finance, technology, infrastructure, you name it, logistics, everything, meteorology, you name it. Everything, everything, everything. I did a video about this called Dragnet. Dragnetting all this data together, scooping up all this data and facts, and piecing it all together afterwards. Processing it, refining it, and combing through it to understand everything. And this is the other side, like to say, you don't know what you don't know, but all these things affect you. Electricity, Bitcoin, cotton production, plastics, paperback binding, all these things affect you. So it's worth studying and understanding them to understand the world in a high definition, to know with more first principles of reality, peel back the layers of reality, get to deeper levels of truth, deeper principles of reality that are more in sync with the world itself, so you can act and perform better. Powerful stuff. Very powerful stuff. You're involved in everything, whether you realize it or not. You're involved in bricklaying. You live in a house made of bricks. You're dependent on it. You're dependent on the first principles of bricks and gravity to stay firm and strong, so the building, the place where you live in 24/7, stands up straight. Wow, that's very powerful. Very, very powerful way to understand and view the world. Yeah. But yeah. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.